Hey guys, how's it going?
Going well.
I
How
was
are you?
good. I was Googling how to pull this up on my phone when you told me we were going live.
Seems like a technology thing. You're going to have to call Drew. So, but
So, how is everybody? Is anybody still up? Are we like actually live? We just got a pop up that we can customize our dashboard. We're definitely live.
super fancy.
Fun times.
Yeah. And like that is way different than it used to be back in the day.
Yeah. So, we've already tested this out before. I know the chances of any of y'all being up right now are pretty slim.
We shouldn't be up right now.
We shouldn't be up right
But we just
now.
finished a little
Your
podcast.
sleep app says that we're supposed to not be up right now.
My sleep app, I have an app called Rise that tells you like your energy level and it tracks like your circadian rhythm and then how sleep deprived you are. I'm operating at 30% right now, energy. I've been sleeping about 4 hours a
Does
night. I've
it
been
say that?
traveling.
So, do you feel like you're
I'm
operating at thirty
serious.
percent, or does the app say you're operating at 30%?
I think that we're both judging my poor decisions right now with traveling and no sleep. So
Well, I feel like you're really fun to hang out with. So this is only 30%. Imagine how
imagine
much
a
more fun we
hundred,
could have.
right?
Dang.
But I feel like that's like the old myth where like oh you only use 10% of your brain versus
Um,
100%.
can't be true.
You know,
Who thinks that is true?
well
Like,
it's
do you?
absolutely true because your
It's
brain only
cute.
functions like
Oh,
it only
I
processes
don't
so
know.
many functions at one time. So it's
I'm
absolutely
pretty
true.
sure I heard just recently that that's been debunked.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But so you only use 10% of your brain at a time, but that's all you're supposed to use is
Hold
that
on,
much because
hold
you're
on.
using different
I want to
functions.
see what Siri
Is Sarah
thinks.
going to tell us
I don't know.
the lowdown?
Siri, what percentage of our brain do we use? Evidence from studies shows that people use, oh, it says much more than 10%. At first, I thought she was, okay, it says evidence from studies of brain damage, brain imaging, localization of blah, 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 show that people use much more than 10% of their brains.
That sounds
I'm just saying
scientific.
that
Much
if,
more.
when
Yeah,
you know, stay current, that you know,
I'll see what I can do.
I'm hoping the gluten thing will turn out to be a myth too.
You don't eat bread. Like, how's it going to impact you?
Well, because then
Gluten's
I
not
can
going to
start
impact you.
eating.
Is that what's holding you back? Your gluten fears?
It can be
Practically a
real.
vegan over here.
Well, I should be real, but it would be nice if it was just a myth.
I mean, it better be since you don't eat bread. So
I mean, I do. I don't know if I'm supposed to.
you know who eats bread is our son, Katlyn.
Oh my gosh, he
He
loves
will
bread.
mainline brioche. That dude loves
So
brioche.
I think we have a picture of him when we were in Montreal, and you go into like a French bakery that has the croissants, and he's got his face up at the window, just like so excited about bread.
Marcy,
Hi, Marcy.
look at Marcy up late at night partying in
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
How's it going,
So
Marcy? What are you up to? So why are we on Facebook Live?
that's a great
Oh,
question.
okay.
I don't even know. So we just finished up a podcast and we figured we'd just keep rolling.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
Yeah, it was a fun podcast. We just talked about stuff, insurance, life, what's going on, what we're working on.
Yeah.
I'm training a class right now, so we talked about like some of the questions that they asked, and I wanted to get like Justin's spin on it to see like how he would answer it, and so that was fun. But I
It's
did.
the same questions people have been asking me for 10 years. So, you know, which, judgment free zone, by the way, if you're a class member that just heard me say that, that's probably true. So,
But I did kind of change the topic for the podcast episode last minute because I was going to talk about how this topic, our job doesn't start until they say no. And I have, so so much I can do with
I
that
mean,
one.
that
But
sounds accurate.
it's good stuff. But Justin just got off a plane, and so we hung out instead and talked insurance. It was kind of fun.
Mhm.
So that one comes out soon. And we figured we'd hop on with you guys. And every time I test this out, there's like hardly anybody awake when we go live late,
At 11 p.m.
but it'll post for 24 hours. If you see this later, thanks for chiming in.
Indulging us. So, yeah. But,
So,
you know, the guarantee is that my mom's definitely going to watch it. So thank you, mom. And Just want
I'm all-
to number one fan. First insurance customer back in the day after us. You know, that's that's been
yeah.
good. So
Yeah, but thanks for being on my podcast, babe.
my pleasure.
Right, you're right. I guess I can't have favorite guests unless
That
they're
would be wrong.
you.
Yeah.
So it's
It's,
okay to say you're my favorite guest so far, right?
I'm actually really glad I'm not like your second favorite or your 10th
I
favorite
mean, that
guest.
would just be wrong.
Yeah. Uh, that made me feel really bad. So. But yeah. So, anyways, so we talked about. I just got back from our Fredericksburg office. I'm sure some of you will be watching this. So, shout out to our Virginia office over there, and just always a great time seeing that team. And we have a lot of commercial producers and service there. Um, and so I got there on two days ago, and then got to spend until today. And I just flew back now, and so but we do a monthly fireside chat, and I love the fireside chats because our organization is a little sprawling, and so it gives us an opportunity to try and like get everybody up to speed on all the different moving parts, and so the yeah, if we don't do that, then we tend to have silos and communication breakdowns. And so we try and be purposeful about communicating and just getting everybody together and chat a little bit. And um, also, it helps make sure that we're really diligent about making sure we're spending time with all the different teams and that we're not slipping. And so I'll travel back and forth between the offices for fireside chat. And so that's, I think it's a win. So,
Yeah, and I think they have fun with it. Oh.
mhm.
Ding. So I feel like we should have a toast. What should we have a toast to?
Toast. Toast to the fact that I had a lot of turbulence on my flight today.
You
I'm
texted me
super happy
and
that
you
I
said
landed safely.
I'm having a lot of turbulence, and I'm like,
I
are
was just putting that
you
out there
are
because
you okay? I
when we
love
crash
you.
and
I
I
just wanted to.
die, then at least I like kind of gave you a heads up. And
But
so,
eh,
it's
yeah, it
like
was
turbulence,
scary.
love you, but
But
it's
I'm glad you're okay.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
worried. But I
So
feel like if you're like, I'm having turbulence, but if anything happens, I like
you
then,
know,
then
I
I
have to
wouldn't be
admit,
so worried.
I don't think the masks make it easier on you. Like you're there,
Oh,
like
because then you feel more anxious
claustrophobic
because
and
you're.
turbulence, and it was just like a combination. I was like, I'm just gonna say hello. So, you know,
Well, thanks for like thinking about me.
yeah, my
So
pleasure.
I'm glad you're
So,
back, and it was a fun day. I'm teaching a class in our Allen office, and so we had a good sized group start this week. Half of them have been insurance before, half of them are new to insurance. And so it's been really neat just talking about our why, getting to know Quantum, getting to know them, talking about the trusted advisor approach. And really, like, this week is all about how we solve problems for clients and really starting there,
yeah.
spending lots of time on finding the need.
And if you want more than that, you're gonna have to actually listen to our podcast because we go into a little more there. So, but
I was gonna say there's three types of agents, guys,
oh
and I
wow,
was gonna break it down for you, but I guess you'll have to go to the podcast for that one.
I
Or
can
per
imagine.
Justin.
Yeah.
Hey Alicia, Alicia's up and it's later where she
She's a
lives.
party animal though, Lisa. Yeah. So
She's well, watch her. She's gonna type in the chat now and be like, "I'm working, Justin." So Alicia, are you watching Netflix?
well, she said cheers, so she's obviously
Or
drinking. So that's as
we
you should
didn't
be.
actually toast it yet, did we? To
You were thinking
safe
things.
arrivals.
Safe arrivals. So I'll cheers that. So
So I feel like we should probably be on Netflix right now.
like you
So
and me having like a date.
that would be fun.
Whoa. What would you watch besides whatever iteration of Friends or
I can,
well, The
well,
Office? I
this
can't
is,
handle The Office
I
for
think
like another
one of
six
the reasons
months.
we stopped watching Netflix or any kind of TV of any sort is that whenever you ask me what I want to watch, I always say the same thing. And so
Mm,
you can only watch
very
The
true.
Office so many times. Alicia is checking her LinkedIn, of course. I mean, she only has like 15,000 followers, so it's a never ending
How many
thing.
now is it, Alicia?
Um,
The last time I checked in, she was at like
I
12.5, I thought.
I've never asked her like what her inbox looks like, but
It's very popular. I mean, a girl with 15,000 connections on LinkedIn is going, that's just a
I
mess.
get stressed if I have like three messages because okay, you can testify this, but my superpower is like intense focus to a
Mm,
fault. So if I have like
that's
3
true.
LinkedIn messages and 2 text messages and 5 emails, my brain is just going like crazy.
I get like hundreds of
I
emails a day,
get way more
and
than I did.
I get stressed out because I go on LinkedIn and there's like 500 biz dev people that are hitting me up at any given moment trying to sell me
But
product.
I think it's
I'm
so
like, I am not
funny.
a piece of meat.
So
I'm just
here's
trying to
the
do my
deal.
job.
So biz dev people don't bother me any more than bad
They
drivers
don't
bother
bother
me.
me. It's just like,
So like I've sold so long, so many. I've only really ever been in sales, and
15.
so
She's at 15,600. Don't you have like 200 people on LinkedIn? I'm not judging the size of your followers, but
I'm not gonna say how many I have now. It's
oh,
more
it's
than
personal.
200.
People can see. They can just go like look
Well,
up their
it
LinkedIn and
doesn't
find out.
compare to 15,600
Alicia is obviously very purposeful with her LinkedIn. So good
because
job,
you see a
Alicia.
superpower.
It
That's
is
awesome.
networking connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're thinking about an agency or want to talk independent world, Alicia is your girl.
There you
So,
go. And she's awake.
and
So
Marcy,
and Marcy as
Marcy's
well.
also.
So
Both
yeah.
of them are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually like reading the biz dev messages
Mm.
because I like looking for like good ideas, and like connecting with someone out of the blue is always one of those like mysterious like life skills that you want to be able to have. And
Yeah.
I have to,
Generically, I agree with you, but the problem is that the programs that they're using, they know how to, they get increasingly more aggressive. And so, like, after I haven't responded to their biz dev thing, it's obviously a template for the fifth time. They're like, "Sir, I've been trying to contact you. You're obviously ignoring me." I'm like, I'm definitely not going to contact you now." But like, people will get like this, like they have their stuff set up, and I'm sure there's a science to it. But they get like increasingly more aggressive, and so I don't love that on LinkedIn.
so
So,
I feel like I shouldn't say this on social media or my inbox is gonna get flooded,
ooh,
but I always read those and I always respond to them
do you?
because I've cold called lots of times, like gone door to door.
There's a VA
Um,
giggling like, "There's another sucker born every day. My boss is gonna be so happy." Got it.
no, but it doesn't take long to say like, thanks for connecting. I'm all set. Have a great day.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, anyway,
You know,
I'm done with my virtue signaling. We get.
yeah. I mean, I can't judge biz dev. I mean, we all do it. I mean, any meaningful company out there is doing biz dev, except for Tesla. Apparently, they just people just buy product. So
Oh, so true. Yeah, they like cracked the code to
the hype to awesomeness.
someone walks in and just signs up. That's just about it.
Take my money. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm actually super curious that as more electric cars hit the market, so Rivian, there's more real ones, not like the Volts, and stuff like that. But as more real electric cars hit the market, what that looks like, you know what I mean? Like what does that mean for Tesla? Will we see kind of some skewing there? Elon said that he doesn't care about that kind of stuff. He doesn't mind that, but it's because he's in it for like a larger mission, larger purpose, like we are with our work. Um, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
So you said Tesla because they, the cars sell themselves.
Yeah. By the way, I'll tell you why we signed up for two Cybertrucks when like after you finish your statement.
Okay.
So, but anyways, you finish yours
I
first,
have
and
been meaning to
I'll tell
ask
you why
you
I have.
how and why that
First
happened.
of all, they're
And
bulletproof,
we didn't
which
have time.
this guy needs.
So, have you guys ever interviewed someone who worked for the Apple store, like for a sales position?
Yes, employees that
We've had really great employees that actually came from Apple. But if
some of them
you,
live.
I'm not talking about Liv in this example. Liv is awesome. And she can definitely tell you all about Openly. We love Openly. And she's a great person to work with because she knows the insurance side of it from the agency um, on the sales process, what the client goes through. So,
Yeah.
love Liv, not talking about Liv, but I did recently interview someone for a sales position who had worked in an Apple store. And I kid you not, they were like, well, yeah, I mean, we had to sell, but we didn't really have sales goals because the store was already exceeding those goals. So
I
the goals,
stood
they're
there.
like, the goals weren't really something we talked about. And I'm like, wow, that
It's
is
so much like
the,
lost opportunity.
I'm
You know
like,
what I mean?
oh, I'm like,
If your
that is
job is to
the
stand
dream.
there and do nothing and be a human computer.
So have you ever like
Stop.
booked an event or something and then your team members are like, but what if we have a line at the booth or like what? And I'm like, then that's a great problem to have and we'll
You
cross
know
that
what?
bridge.
That was like when team members, shout out to Alicia, when team members were like, when our mission, when we pushed it live, our democratized insurance mission, all of a sudden team members were getting hit up with friends that were like,
What
oh,
does this mean?
what kind of thing is this? What are you doing over there? Why are you trying to tear down our walls? And so it was funny because like we're not political. Like I hate politics. I don't care about it at all. And but I do love the idea of people talking about insurance. Like people should be talking about insurance. And so when we had people that started saying, well, what is this democratized insurance thing? Like what are you doing over there? I loved it. You know what I mean? Because people actually wanted to talk about what we want, what we do, and kind of how we're trying to change the world. And so it was fun. It was like a little taste of a
It took us
moment.
10 years to figure that
It was
out.
like a little taste of a moment of like Apple or Tesla feels like, where people are lining up outside their door, like we had like a little glimmer of it. So, but, yeah,
Yeah, it's insurance as it stands today is one of those things that college grads or high school students aren't thinking about. It's not like top of mind for them or what they want to
for
do.
work or for actually purchasing the product,
Either.
either, right?
Yeah. So
I'm gonna buy some life
we
insurance.
talk about the brand of insurance, and so that's one of the things we're working on. Is we
Yeah.
think there's some,
I
room
mean,
for
the brand is
improvement.
broken, right? Like and funny enough, so we're on my Facebook page, and I don't allow many people on my Facebook page, and I purposely
Oh
triage
yeah, we did go
a
live
lot of
from
people
your
off my
page.
my Facebook
I feel
page.
like if we went live from mine, we might
Oh, you
have.
have so many friends, yeah.
So we have a few viewers right now. Drop your name in the chat, and we'll shout you out.
Yeah.
I think you a long time ago, and but at the
I'll
same
try and
time,
keep it a little more
you were
personal.
growing your LinkedIn, and at the same
Right.
time, I had totally dropped off LinkedIn and just not even logged into it for like 2 to 3 years because I was tired of my feed just being insurance agents that were saying like call me for a quote, but
Well,
it's
not
just
just that, but like there's certain companies out there that when they use like a mass communication service that publishes the same posts across all of their agents, like Facebook or like LinkedIn's,
then it's just the same stuff.
it's just like you tune it out, right? Like it just like it all becomes like white noise.
But I think
So
LinkedIn got so much better, and I love it now. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn.
it's a lot better.
So much great content, so many
Post
cool.
election, during the election, it was brutal. Just want to say that it got ugly during the election.
Yeah, but LinkedIn wasn't as bad as Facebook.
I wouldn't know because I kicked everybody off my Facebook.
You have like 5 Facebook followers.
I mean, I have like 500 of my closest,
Ooh,
people I care about.
that's a lot. More than some people.
People that don't have Facebook.
Oh man, that's awesome. So Amanda's working on a new course I haven't told you about, and it's
What?
called Managing Your Brand, and it's about like your personal brand.
Ooh, that's a
You're
good
gonna
one.
like it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how do you want people to, how do you want to be perceived? How do you want people to like think of you? And then the class writes down like what comes to mind, like when they think
Right.
of you, and then you get the feedback, and you have to like process through if it aligns with like what you're going for or
Yeah.
not.
So it's
And
kind of like a
so,
360 feedback
Mhm.
review where you get like
Yeah.
you're judging people, they're judging you, and or a judgment free zone. So I think that's good. I like that. So, we were talking about it again. You have to go to the podcast. Caitlin's podcast, Age of Independence. But we were talking about our team members and frontline and people in our organization, and trying to grow them. And like one of our greatest fears is that if people want to grow up in the organization, them not having the skill set to do so. You know what I mean? Because I feel like then we really missed our mark. If people would join our organization and want to grow and work hard and do all the stuff they should do, but then like lack the skill set to do that. You know what I mean? And so
Justin Loper, it's all about how you frame it. He's excited he's in your top 500.
you're top 200, bro.
Yeah, at least.
A little personal. Chris, if you want to connect with Jeff, he is no stranger to social media, but he is not in my bedroom, which is where we are right now. So,
It's also a little bit later where Jeff lives, so he might already be asleep.
We could
But
tag
you know,
him.
you guys
I
stay up
would
pretty
say
late.
Jeff is
You
probably
never know. I mean,
Jeff's probably up right now. Jeff spends a lot of time in social media and like YouTube and learning new
he spends
stuff,
a lot of time on
synthesizing.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's like his YouTube is Jeff's ideal way of learning new content. He'll watch like 100 videos a day and then
Hmm.
just like download. Honestly, he's like, guys, I have all these ideas and a lot of information. Yeah, and it's just he he like touches a lot. You know what I mean?
So I came across this video that was like the introduction of the insurance sales phone call on YouTube. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. And I watched it. And it's the exact same content I teach in class. And I was like, who's copying who? But it was great content. So,
Was it?
yeah.
That's good.
Hi, Justin.
Hi. What's going on here?
This is Caitlin. How are you?
Good.
I got your request for a quote. What has you looking to change insurance?
Oh, dang. You're using that script 10 years ago.
Oh,
That's cool. Uh,
well, I didn't want to give my like good stuff out.
well, I appreciate you not. Like, it's proprietary, isn't it? Like how to get clients not to hang up and cuss at you. I mean, it's,
I'm not gonna lie, Justin's a really good insurance salesperson.
it's okay. You know,
I thought you were pretty good.
I don't think it's my superpower, but
What's your superpower?
I don't even know. I mean, it's a lot of flying and being tired is my current superpower. So, um,
Like arriving at the airport 27 minutes before your flight, so you don't have to be there too
that's
long.
not how I roll. When I go to the airport, I go like 2 hours early and I sit there and I don't like to be rushed. I like to be methodical, and uh, and so that is not my superpower either. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe communication, and
You're really
but
good at that.
not as good as Amanda. Amanda's
No,
incredible.
she's really good at that.
So definitely Amanda's superpower.
Yeah.
So.
So I mentioned earlier.
So what I'm hearing, Chris, is that you're gonna ping Jeff, and you guys are gonna have like an hour-long conversation now. So definitely text him right now.
Well, do you guys ever get that like second wind at night when you're supposed to go to bed and you're tired, but then which is probably why we're still on Facebook right now.
I have 10 hours of meetings tomorrow. Like my day is stupid. So I'm just trying to avoid because when I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up and then have to go into 10 hours
So
of
what's
meetings.
what meeting are you like? Are you excited about
Well,
it?
I have one-on-ones on Thursday,
Okay.
and so I do one-on-ones with all the leadership team. I'm always excited about one-on-ones because like we have so much stuff going on, and so I love and me being able to interact with team members. I really love our team, and so I do enjoy that. I have Quohound stuff, working on tech stack, working on a variety of stuff. So
That's fun.
yeah, I like tech stack stuff.
I'm teaching a lead management class in the morning.
Ooh.
I didn't tell you about that one yet.
I didn't get invited to it, so.
Aren't you tired of talking about
leads?
answering questions like
Yeah.
leads or referrals? Um, that one's fun because we break out a chart of at least 6 different lead sources, and half of them are digital and half of them are different forms of referrals. And we talk about the economics of each lead. So how much does it cost? What's the cost of acquisition per sale to close ratio for that lead? But then like every lead has advantages, drawbacks. So what are the pros and cons? And every lead source has a different like sales conversation. So for example, if you're calling a client referral, they're probably going to tell you they're midterm and they're not up for renewal yet. So like that would be one example of how to be ready for that sales conversation. So that one's going to be fun. Do we just get a question?
I'm trying to be
Madeline.
diligent and
It's not quite as late where Madeline lives.
no,
It's kind of late, but not.
in Vegas. So
How was today? I think they closed. How many policies did they get today, guys? 7?
how many branch policies did you close today? Depends. Arizona.
Yeah.
So
So that's fun. Congrats, guys.
yeah,
They'll send the
always
total
do a
in
great job.
second.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that's anyways, Chris asked how many locations we have, 50 plus. I think right now we're trending. We'll probably bring on 100 to 150 over the next
4
year.
total or 4 branch, Justin?
Um, but we're trying to grow that team, and so we're actually hiring for agency recruiters. We call them ADLs, um, and we're the 50 agencies were brought on by 3 ADLs over the past year, and so we're trying to get that team to 30 to 50. And so we're investing a lot in that infrastructure right now because there's a lot of need in the agency force, and so we're working on that side.
Yeah.
So
7
for
total,
branch,
4
man.
branch.
Yeah.
Yay! Great job,
The
guys.
Lover agency writes more branch than some very well-known insurance agencies out there. No, no names will be named, lest I get sued. So don't say it, Lover. Hey, Justin, I think that I had a question earlier about branch that I needed answered, and I'm not sure if you guys know, but they endorse their umbrella on their homeowners policy. But when it issues, is it 2 separate policies, um, or is it one? I don't. I'll have to give them a call. If you don't know, that's okay. But I haven't actually checked what happens once you endorse it, and I'm wondering like if it's actually an endorsement or if it just separates the policies out in 2 separate policies. So, um, but anyways, so
Well, I just clicked a button that popped up that said you can share it to groups. So I tried to share it to our
to our quantum
quantum.
secret group,
I don't see it on there, so I apparently didn't work.
you know, it's called Quantum Launch to Success. It's our one of our agency groups, and it's funny because I think they only ever get videos from us like at 11 p.m. at night. We're having a glass of wine. Our bad. So, but uh, but yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Are you done?
I mean,
Wrapping it up?
what else do you guys want to hear about?
Nothing at all. It's probably past our limit. We're getting cut off. But yeah. So yeah.
So check out the podcast. Monday, it's Justin and I. The conversation we had before this conversation. A little bit less rambling, a little bit more insurance than this one.
Yes.
We talked about why we quote live, internet leads versus referrals, just because we get that question a lot with the team members we have in training. We talked about training a lot, and
We talked about fireside chat, kind of like
yeah,
some of the ramifications of that.
Yeah, that was good. And we're rolling out a new leadership development program, so that's all in the podcast. Be sure to just tune in.
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts afterwards. We covered a lot of topics. Let me know your thoughts, your observations. Send me a DM. But thanks for tuning into Age of Independence. It's been really fun. And thanks for being guests on the podcast, for tuning in, for the text messages, letting me know that you listen to the episodes, and any questions or topics that are top of mind for you, send them in because I definitely want to hear from you guys. Thanks, Chris. It's been fun.
Thank you.
We're blessed. So
it's
been a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and with Quantum, we view our mission as helping, obviously democratize insurance, but we just see so much need in the agency force, whether it's education, proper support, a company that cares about you. Some of this stuff is just foundational that people expect when they're, starting their businesses or working with a company. But I think we've all found that there's so much room for opportunity to do that, and so. That's why Quantum exists. Is we love our agencies. We want to have thousands of agencies and just make an impact across the country with helping agencies be successful in their communities and in whatever they touch. And so, anyways, we appreciate it, Chris, and thank you for everybody that's joined us and listened to us ramble a little bit.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah,
So
our tired ramble.
I mean, we were up anyways. So
I guess we were. So,
yeah, fun hanging out with you guys. Have a great night, and we'll chat soon.
Yep. Take care.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Katlyn, your host, and today we have a special guest. I kind of
special.
Talked my husband into joining me for this episode. Hi, Justin.
Well, hello. How's it going?
Doing fantastic.
Very good. You guys are getting the late night episode tonight because I just got back from traveling and it's like 10 p.m. and so we're recording before we go to bed. So don't mind if we have a glass of wine along the way. It's been a heck of a week.
Yes, and I've had an episode or two with Justin along the way so far, so you might have caught one of those. I don't know.
I get the occasional invites.
We've both been in insurance for a little while, and so from time to time, it's fun to catch up with you guys, with Justin. And I figured if you get two of us talking about insurance together long enough, something fun will happen.
Dream. So maybe.
So we got the kiddos in bed, and
we're crossing our fingers. So if
we'll see how that goes.
Some like somebody barging through the door momentarily, at any point in time, you'll know what it is. It is not the police. It is our children.
If you hear a knock.
Yeah, a gentle knock. Not our children.
Just a 5-year-old that doesn't want to go to bed.
Yeah.
But I think they're good. Our 5-year-old loves animals, and so every night while he's falling asleep, he tells us animal facts like an encyclopedia. Like he might be like, "Mom, everyone says that frogs are the easiest animal, but it's not true. It's starfish."
He keeps asking me for a starfish. I'm like, where do I put a starfish?
Such a good idea.
You have turtles already. Like, what else do you need?
Tonight he said, "Mom, raccoons are the sneakiest animal in Texas, and foxes."
Which could be true.
It sounds true to me. So yeah. So that's a typical day, I think, in the Agar household is insurance, a few times with the kids, and then a little more insurance. So all in a day's work.
Yes.
So you were on a plane. I'm glad you're back.
It's good to be back. So
yeah, we always miss you while you're gone.
Well, thank you. So I was in our Virginia office. Every month I do a fireside chat. So I travel between the offices, and I'll do a chat, and I'll broadcast from that location and get a little time with the team. And that way I can make sure I'm being purposeful about spending time with all the team members. And sometimes we all get so busy that you can end up neglecting people by accident. And so I try and be purposeful with bouncing back and forth. And so it was good. But when I left, I had to wake up at 4 a.m. I hate like 5 a.m. flights. They're the worst.
You didn't get up early the day you flew out, but then you had have dinner and stuff, and then you get up early for the event, and then you flew back. So
I've been like going on 4 hours of sleep a night the past couple of nights, and so I'm hoping to get some rest after this and catch up.
You're always good about texting me on the plane.
Yeah, I try to be.
Is there a package for that? Because I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, just get in on the plane. So
I'm bad with technology, guys. So
more than just bad. She's really bad at technology. IT still has your laptop, don't they?
So
for 3 weeks.
We have this awesome new guy. We call him the IT guy, but I think he has a fancier name than that.
He's a system admin.
And I think he's slowly catching on to like just how bad the technology.
Just confiscated all at some point in time. We're walking around with
I'll just have to teach classes live.
Have paper, lots of paper.
So I was teaching a class today in the office in person, and we had like one of the big screens that like rolls in. I don't know what it's called, but it's mobile, like a mobile screen. And it was set to Eastern time for some reason. So I kept thinking we were like way behind schedule. I turned it into this whole kerfluffle. I need to just fix it, but I don't. I know how to fix it. I'm pretty sure, but I definitely don't want to reach out to Drew. I'm determined to not ask our IT guy for help with this because I know I can Google it.
I love the fact that your team's going to be off schedule for the next 4 weeks.
What I want to know is why, like,
because pride.
Why have the 8 adults in class like not just fixed it themselves? And I think they must all be like just chuckling and setting me up to see when I'm eventually going to figure it out.
I wouldn't be surprised if some wily person in class changed it for you.
Oh man, now it's all making sense.
I think you're getting punked.
Oh my gosh, it's all making sense. So what was fireside chat like?
It was good. It was good. Yeah, so it was fun. It was funny because it was like 90 something degrees down here in Texas, but then in Virginia it was so hot, and the facility is like in the super old building, and like a brick building. It's really cute. But some of the offices got like cranking hot, and so I was like dressed with like a sweater on, and I was like melting in
So
the fireside
it's
chat.
funny you say that because Monday
Mhm.
I walk into
Oh
the
yeah.
Texas office. Second I walk in the door, I walk straight over to Kai and I said, there is what is going. The heat was like it was like 80 degrees in the office or something. I
It
could
was a
tell.
power outage, yeah. So I contacted facilities and there was a power outage.
It was so funny because the interviews we had that day, we were like, we promise we're not trying to put you in the hot seat. They're working on the AC.
Already passed out. It's okay.
Yeah. Our goal isn't to like intentionally make them sweat. Not intentionally.
Not intentionally,
Mhm.
but
So at the fireside chat, you guys were like roasting.
yeah, I was roasting, so I was melting down. So like I work my way off screen and I come back without a sweater on, and I'm sure it caught a few.
If you were sweating, like I wonder if the team was like, "Oh, that's our CEO. He looks nervous." Just the AC.
Yeah, it wasn't. For better or worse, it wasn't nerves. It was I was cooking alive. So, but it was good. So we talked through and operations chatted and education. We have typically in our organization we have hundreds of moving parts at any point in time and kind of just like all these initiatives going on. And so that's one of the reasons the fireside chat is so important to like help communication. So everybody knows what's going on in the organization and that we don't have all these silos that don't understand like all the moving parts of quantum. And so anyways, it was good on my end. I really enjoyed like getting them up to speed, and we owed the front line some deliverables we've been working on, a new career progression path. We like stage it out, and there's actually an actual career progression path is like IC1, IC2, and as you grow through it, you can now apply for the commercial team, and so it's purposeful. It's really cool. And now this next level part that we're weaving into, we're weaving in the Quantum Leadership Academy, which is kind of 4 pillars of kind of leadership excellence, and now starting to integrate that back into our training as well, which is fun. And it was it's really important because one of the things I noticed that when I was an agent and when we had our agencies, it's so hard to actually like grow your people and like in a legitimate version of growing them. It's really hard to grow your people into like the best version of themselves and help them become outstanding leaders. And frequently they get good at doing like whatever the agent is, and they kind of like hold the agent in high esteem. But really, to get the best out of your people, you have to do so much more than that. And so we've created the Quantum Leadership Academy, and we're we really walk them through like all these different stages of communication, time management, managing up, and just into more obviously transformational, excellence and that kind of stuff. And so we walk them through just a lot of different stuff, trying to invest in them. And it's important to us that I usually say we spend more time with our teams than we do with our family, and we love the heck out of our family. And so if we're going to spend that much time with our teams, it's important that we're doing good in their lives and giving back to them and figuring out how to leave them better than we got them. And so we try and invest and be purposeful with that stuff.
Yeah. And our education manager, Amanda, has been really helpful with that process. She's super passionate about leadership. And so she's really put together a cool like course menu where it's not just all about insurance, but it's about like DISC personality types and communication styles, because the idea is that if we can learn our DISC personality type and how different people communicate, that it'll make the office a better atmosphere, better team culture. We'll all have better communication, but then we can also learn client communication types. So that's something cool she's really brought in that was, and just a neat way of looking at it. And Kelly Donahue-Piro had a great idea.
Kelly's fantastic.
Awesome. Yes. And she mentioned doing courses that are centered around personal development. So one of the courses we're going to offer, which was her idea, was on personal finances and how they can get out of debt or save, or if they should be, investing or thinking about retirement, their financial goals. And so we're going to roll out that course as well. Just thinking through, we've always said that at Quantum, we want to know what's important to them and help them reach their own goals, help to invest in them both personally and professionally. And so I think this takes that to another level. So we've always tried to show that in the way we interact with our employees, the way we treat them, and making it a great place to work, and growing their professional skills. And I think that this leadership program will help us to really show them how invested we are in them as people.
Mhm.
I think many of us have maybe worked places in the past where we felt like people were just a dollar sign, and we don't want our team to feel like that at Quantum. So we feel like investing in things that will be of value to them no matter how long they're with Quantum or how long their journey with us is, things they can take with them throughout life is a win, and a way we can create a great environment for them and also give back.
Yeah.
So that's the goal with that program.
Yeah. Some people don't realize how important this is to us. And, some people have probably heard the story, but the reason that we're in Dallas is actually tied to the fact that we made that decision because we wanted our teams to be able to afford to grow financially and own a home and put money into retirement, that kind of stuff. Originally, when we were looking at moving to Texas back in the day, 2017.
Back in the day, 4 years ago.
Feels like a super long time. But we were actually looking at moving to Austin, and we were really concerned that, we were going to have a great quality of life and all this fun stuff. And
we actually went house shopping in Austin. It's so tech friendly there. We knew we wanted to be somewhere tech friendly.
Yeah. I mean, we put in bids on houses and we were like duking it out, and but along the way we realized that we're like, there's no way that a lot of the front line will be able to afford houses in this market, and that weighed heavily on us, that we were going to be able to have a good quality of life, but that we weren't giving that same quality of life to our team members. And so during that kind of shopping and just looking at Austin, we had a change of heart, and we're like, we have to figure out something different. And so we then turned our eyes to Dallas, and we're like, Dallas is incredible. It's a great place to live, great place for family, but and it's getting more expensive, just like anything else is right now with the market. But we have team members that are in their early 20s that are buying their first home. Congrats, Callie. And so we have things that in a different market might not be commonplace, and so seeing that come to fruition for us is really meaningful. And so when you talk about things like financial literacy and courses that we can give, my worst fear is somebody that comes in and works with us and gives like their lifeblood and essence, like we all do with our work, and 30 years later they're still renting and don't have a retirement and that kind of stuff. That's like one of my greatest fears, is that we weren't able to make an impact potentially on that person. And so I love these courses. I love the work that's being done on that side. Eventually maybe we'll roll a few out to the outside world, just to try and do some good and give them away for free. Not all of them, but certainly a couple of them possibly. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of great content there, and my team has just so much fun working on that stuff. So
yeah,
so that's been neat. So I'm excited to kind of see those courses come together, and the team will start taking those in July. So that was one of the updates from the fireside chat.
Yeah, July was the date for that, so we're gonna roll that out.
It'll be here before we know it. Yeah. And we've seen there were some operations updates. We've seen some changes on the commercial side, which has been kind of new to what our experience in insurance has been historically up till now.
Well, we were captive agents back in the day. That was our foray into the industry, which was good because we talked about it before. We had no idea what we were doing, and so it was a little more gentle, if you will. But along with being gentle, you also learn a lot of really bad habits in the captive world. One of which is that in the independent world, commercial is a differentiator for us. Commercial's a really big deal. And captive world is so used to personal lines. And so when we moved over to independent, we were so heavily personal lines, and we were doing great and writing a lot of business on that end. But along the way, we did a pilot mid last year on commercial, and now about 50% of our business is commercial. And so we really picked up and kind of ran with that one. And so now we're crushing kind of the small market commercial and doing really well on that side. By small market, I mean up to about 150,000. We're doing pretty well on, and we're investing some resources and trying to go up to $1 million in premium now. And so we're kind of working on growing out that additional subset, the additional verticals on that side. So it's fun.
Yeah, you guys know that I love sales and sales coaching, so trying to figure out that space is interesting to me, because I'm really so much more comfortable with personal lines, and so I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. And I love what it can mean for our employees' lifestyle. We were talking about, caring about their personal finances and what commercial can do for that person professionally, but also for our agents and what introducing commercial into their agency can do to their cash flow. Because if you're historically a personal lines agency, it takes resources and time to figure out commercial. You might have to hire the right person, be thinking about the marketing. There's a ton of time spent in chasing down those accounts, and they can be complex. There's training that goes into that. And so our goal is that by cracking the code to commercial, whether it be small business, middle market, that our agencies will be able to leverage those methods to be able to diversify their portfolio and to be able to, tackle a segment that they haven't been able to use before to bring in revenue.
Yeah. I mean, it's a massive opportunity.
Yeah.
So.
Did you say the captive space was like more gentle? Is that the word?
Yeah,
so
I think.
What do you mean?
I mean, the captive space is a lot more on rails. I mean, as we've seen from the independent space, a lot of what we do, and you guys know that with Quantum, our mission is democratizing insurance, and that means a lot of things. But education is certainly a big part of that. In the independent space, the education is frequently lacking. And even the stuff that poses as education is frequently about forms. It's about policies. It's about insurance information. But the soft skills of what we do are frequently it's not all pulled together. And so and that's a lot of what your team does, is trying to figure out how do you synthesize the knowledge, the product, and all that different stuff, and then how do you put it into human packaging? How do you convey it effectively?
We've had to make some big changes to the program to really think about how do you take all this great information and figure out when it turns into transformation, like knowledge becoming how you're actually going to speak with a client when you're on the phone, and that actual behavior and that thing that you just learned actually coming to life. Because we packed a ton of content into our first version of Quantum University. There's a lot of meat on the bones. And it was literally like everything in a month that you needed to know to be a successful producer. And we found that it was just too much for people to absorb practically, like right away. Like they might get it and get the principles and be bought in, but actually having time to let that unfold, what would happen is they would latch on to one or two principles and then forget a lot of the rest. And so we really had to think through, okay, if we slow roll this, what will that look like? Training is expensive, and talking about spending months and months in training and education is a big hurdle, I think, for a lot of companies. And I've seen all different timelines across the board. I mean, there's the agencies where they just throw somebody on the phones or throw you to the wolves and you just eventually figure it out. Totally grassroots training. And then there's companies, direct call centers where they might have somebody in training for 16 weeks, 6 months for some of them. And so finding out, what's most effective at the end of the day, what's going to have the most impact and move the needle the most. And so we've actually changed the timeline of our program. So that's given us room to introduce more courses, to spend more time on topics. So for example, when I'm talking about slowing it down, that means we are spending probably 5 or 6 workshops just on the introduction of the call, like just on the first 5 minutes. And that's not including videos, but that's just like live workshops.
And we're also spending a lot more time on the why. You know what I mean? And so
a lot more time on the why. A whole lot more time on the why.
Sometimes when you bring people in and it's like just a shotgun approach and you're just moving so quickly, if you're not taking the time to sit down and help them understand the why, why does Quantum exist? Why does your organization exist? You're not going to have the emotional love bucket necessary that when things get hard and you're pushing them to adopt your practices, whatever else, you're going to start having retention issues with that. And so, that's what we found when we brought people in and just taught them all this stuff, great stuff. And they were like, wow, that's a lot of information. And then we would like get them into the weeds and start producing. And we were moving at such a high pace though, that people,
You develop bad habits that way, because then you're getting some of it down, but you're not
but
taking
also you miss the big picture sometimes. You know what I mean? And I think at the end, what we were doing was frequently missing the big picture. And so now we're really slowing down in the front and being purposeful, helping them understand the big picture, the why of what we're doing and why quantum exists, and what's the difference that we're trying to make in the industry. And then we use that as a foundation to build on.
So I think it's totally possible for someone to come out of the gates, learn how to one call close, start closing sales, but it's also possible for that same person to have monoline sales and to be missing out on the trusted advisor approach and be missing out on a total risk review and not doing a full needs analysis. And so getting behind the why we're here, what's our mission, what's our purpose, how do we fit this into our clients' wants, their needs, their lifestyle, what can we deliver on today? What are we 100% sure we can deliver on today that has nothing to do with price? If we can get that down in the beginning, then what we're finding is that when you're talking about bundling or the one call close or the asking for the sale, it all makes so much more sense within that framework. And then suddenly it's not quite so scary when the client tells you they're not interested, or they already have insurance, or they don't want to have a bundle review, because you know how much value that you really do have to bring to the table and how it's really going to help that person. What are you chuckling about?
I was just thinking, I was thinking that, we have all these new team members in the office, and it's so funny watching them like getting on the phone for the first time and like quoting for the first time. And we're hiring a lot more from outside the industry. We're almost as a rule of thumb, it's very difficult to join quantum unless you're, have a high level of excellence.
50% of our class this time is from outside or new to the industry, outside the industry, new to insurance.
And the next one, and I was talking to our director of recruiting and director of talent, and it'll probably be 75% in the next class, and then it'll probably end up being at 95% new to the industry. And that's purposeful. The industry would benefit from having from changing its brand, changing its image, and doing a better job of attracting new blood into the industry. And so we're trying to figure out that problem, because I think the industry itself has a problem with being able to attract really high quality people into the industry, and make the insurance brand sexy, if you will. I think we struggle with that.
And sexy back.
Yeah, and so but we think about that. We think through how can we help change the brand of insurance, and make it something that one day kids might want to be when they grow up. So something, because we have a freaking awesome profession. Like we help people die, and we like help their families recover as much as possible and survive, or they get into a bad accident. I spent time with our claims team today. We do so much good in our industry, and that message is frequently lost. But there's a lot of insurance agents that are heroes. I mean, that do incredible work. And you and I, you mentioned our agency force, before. You and I are so passionate about like the small business, the business experience, and because of the impact it's had on us. But we're entrepreneurs. We love what it feels like to have your own business. And being an insurance agent is just a really unique and special aspect of that, I think.
It is. Yeah. So we'll keep you guys posted on how that's going. We're trying out that new method of really slowing it down. And this group of people that we're training, 50% have insurance experience. The other half of the class are new to insurance, and they won't be on the phones quoting a coverage consultation or asking for the sale until the end of week 4. And so even though they're licensed and we've taught coverages and they've learned trusted advisor and all of that good stuff, we're really going to spend time getting the introduction of the call down first. That first impression is so important. And then we're going to learn the rater conversation next and get that down and make sure that that's really smooth and sounds like a really customized conversation, and not like we're like quizzing the customer before they ever start even trying to do the full consultation or close it. And so the goal is that will give them time to learn it in bite-sized pieces. So this was a light bulb moment I had from talking with Kelly again. And she said, you can watch a video of Chef Ramsay grilling a steak, but when you try it yourself, that steak is gonna suck. And so her point,
slightly different words possibly, but
her point was that it's not enough just to convey the knowledge. People really have to have time to try it out and fill it out and just learn things a little bit at a time. So we're really big believers that the best way that we can help develop our new team members is with a program that's as close to mentorship and coaching, almost kind of like an apprenticeship model as possible, where they're really closely working with a pro coach and a guide and somebody that's mentoring them through the process, front to back, because that's really how they're going to grow the most and feel the most confident in their career move. It's also one of the costlier ways to train new employees, but we think it's worth it.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you posted on how that's going.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long-term investment, and I think that we found ourselves trying to cut corners on that side, just like we all do, and trying to make it just a little more, effective, a little more efficient. But some things are worth spending a little more on. And so, we'll let you guys know how it goes. And if the long play was worth it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some of the questions that our new team members ask us in class are the same members that agents ask.
Yeah, so give us a few samples.
I didn't tell Justin what these questions were, but I told him I had some questions. So I want to ask you some of the questions that they asked me in class this week and see what you say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let me think. So definitely one question we got was, why do we quote live? Because, and bear with me on this one, wouldn't it make more sense if we spent the morning call block getting as many quotes started as possible, as many people on the phone as possible, booking a call back, and then quoting them afterwards? Which I think is a good question. That's a fair question to pose.
Well, so, and keep in mind that, so that question changes depending on your marketing style, right? And so the reality is that if you're getting referrals all morning, if you're getting whatever, if it's emails coming in, the referrals, whatever those things are, that's not, the pressure's a little bit off in those scenarios when you're generating leads online. And so with Quantum, we're actually moving towards, we've purchased a lot of our marketing, our leads historically. There's a really good chance that you'll see our ads in the near future, just like everybody will. But we're moving more towards our own exclusive Quantum specific ads, targeting consumers, targeting agents, or whatever else. And so we're going branded in almost everything that we're doing with our brand. But when you're buying leads, or if you have a client on the phone, that conversation is frequently very different than when it's more referral based and slow, and you're like, hey, I'll give you a call back tomorrow, and they're okay with that. The reality is that in the lead game, in kind of like the online marketing game, there's a chance that they might have submitted a form to somebody else. Even if you got an exclusive lead, or they came to your website, they might have submitted a lead on whichever website first. They might have submitted stuff on Progressive stuff and not bought a policy, but the information would hit and Progressive would call them. So whatever that thing is. And so, in that environment, you have to be the first person to respond. And you also have to be, you also have to go for the close during that time, because the second that you let them off the phone, you're letting other people into your sale. And so if you do a really quick Geico level quote where it's 900 seconds, is it? Well, whatever that number is, the problem with that in the online lead game space is that there's going to be an agent that calls back at 901 seconds. That person's going to quote, and now you're not the only person providing a quote to that person. So, we try and be the first responder with our leads. We try and spend 40 minutes to 45 minutes on the phone, at least with them. Less time than that upsets me, because I feel like we're not doing a quality job. We're not getting to know our clients, et cetera, if we're not spending enough time with them. And then obviously asking for the sale and trying to move that thing forward as much as you can is important. And, it's funny because I see salespeople and they let somebody off the phone and they're like, oh, they're going to buy tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes, right? So somebody else called them and asked for the sale and got it. And so, in the game that we play at kind of like a slightly higher frequency, a slightly higher pace in kind of the online marketing game, you have to be pretty quick. And so you have to get a rate on the phone. You have to be responsive in that. Again, if this is a referral from mom, that person might wait a couple of days. If it's somebody that in your community.
You know what, with those though, what I found is that even the referrals from mom that are like, sure, call me back. And you know, they're going to pick up the phone. When you call them back, they're always busy. They're like, oh yeah, hold on. My sister's coming in from out of town. Like, so they're talking to you and they're answering the phone, but they're like not busy. Like they're not available because they're busy. And so it doesn't work with for me with those either.
I think people don't make time for their insurance agents.
There's always something that's going to pop up.
Yeah. So, you know, anyways, but I like it. I mean, from an efficiency standpoint, I mean, I guess you could go either way. You could say you build up this massive chunk of work and then work through it and then call the people back, or you just kind of one off it and get through it. In our world, we like to walk through the quotes and try and you know, help the client right there, especially going into the future where people are going to more and more expect that. If you know, if you think that's not the case today, wait 10 years and the client, or 5 years or 3 years, and our clients will absolutely have little tolerance for a long turnaround on stuff. And so, you know, I understand the referrals and whatever else. You know, we'll have a little more runtime with that before kind of that area is disrupted or whatever. But certainly, you know, if there's other people, if there's other insurance agents that have the opportunity to call them, you should knock them out. You know, be responsive and try and quote and close that, you know, over the phone.
And there's one more thing I'll add to that came up. So I told you guys we made a list of like, what are 10 things I know I can deliver on for this client today. They have nothing to do with, you know, the price. And we came up with like 30 things, wow. 30 things we can do for everything from giving accurate information to filling gaps in their coverage to finding the right fit for their family. Just tons of great stuff about how we were going to personalize the experience for this person. And so where we landed after that question about like, why can't we start the quote, start the conversation, build the quote, call back, was that there's a lot of things on that list that we can do to bring value that are really hard to do if we hang up that phone. If we hang up that phone and build the quotes without talking to them, we're going to be missing on a lot of the value we could provide. And so I really feel like it can build an even better experience, just missing less things, uncovering that one more thing, getting to know them a little bit better, that stronger relationship. At the end of the day, they're buying a policy that has a carrier's name on it, and you want them to remember your agency because you gave them such a great experience. And so I think that extra time on the phone goes a long way. But one of the things we talked about was, I was like, guys, let's be real. Like what I'm describing here is way harder. Like this is not the easiest route, quoting live. I don't blame agents one bit that try to come up with a different process for it because it's not easy. And you do have a ton of screens up there and you're trying to shop multiple carriers. I get it. So it's not easy.
You know, part of that is that the technology stack in the independent world is so broken.
Yeah.
But I mean, keep in mind that if you're counting on the technology stack in the independent world to be broken for long, you're going to be very, very sad over the next year or two. I assure you it's changing very quickly. Speaking of which, congratulations to Branch on their Series B. A nice raise, and I know that you guys are growing really quickly. So, but speaking of Branch, you know, my hope is that more and more that companies like Branch will come along where it takes, you know, just 3 questions to be able to pull together, you know, rates. And so imagine long-term when that happens. And if all the companies that we were working with, imagine if Travelers did that and Safeco and whoever else, and then it pulls all this information in for you, you know, use data enrichment. And then you get to the point where now you're really just having a conversation about the client, about their risks, about their needs, you know, and so on. And, you know, right now we're doing so much data entry to try and get that stuff filled out, but the companies like Branch are the way of the future. And so, you know, as those companies, you know, as more companies turn towards that and they figure out how to get into raters and use those as a springboard for that information, agents should love that because it's allowing us to now talk about the stuff that we want to talk about. None of us want to be data entry professionals, right? Like nobody here wants to sit there and fill out 100 questions on forms to like try and get a fake rate. You know, it's ridiculous. And so, you know, we should be looking to companies like Branch as really positive saviors of our industry, because if we don't have that kind of technology to be competitive in this space, well, Geico's agents do. You know, they have their own raters. They have the sophistication. There's a lot of companies out there that have that, and if we don't pick that up pretty soon, we're going to be at a disadvantage. And so, you know, I think it's, you know, over time this is going to change. But quoting online is actually, I think, a good habit now, because as this technology comes into play, and as you can get to the place where you're entering 3 questions, to start the quote and like enrich all the information that you need in the quotes, it's going to put you in a place where you can provide that full service, and most of the time is just spent connecting with the client. So.
And you mentioned soft skills before,
Mhm.
and that's why we spend so much time on the soft skills and the communication and the interacting with other people, the client communication types, because our ability to connect on a human level is going to be so much more important the more that tech is taking over part of that conversation. I interviewed a guy on the podcast a few episodes back. It's called We're Still Human and Work Shouldn't Suck. It's Brad Shorkan. He's a CEO of Still Human. He's in South Africa, and he's worked with insurance organizations in a couple different countries. So I asked him about like what insurance is like over there, and he talked about that insurtech world and how, as we're getting those fast bindable rates, how important our emotional intelligence is going to be, because we might find ourselves in a situation where we don't have 40 minutes with the client, but maybe we have 20 minutes, and we're going to have to be able to build a relationship, create value, connect personally, understand that person. People will still be looking for that emotional connection. And so to be preparing for that change in the future. The goal isn't that tech would replace the advice, the professional guidance that the client needs, but that we'll be ready for how that's going to change the interaction in our conversation, so that we can still connect to make it personal, make it customized, make it make sense. So emotional intelligence, just something we're thinking about, and definitely an area that's kind of, we're still growing in it.
Yeah.
Long term.
Yeah, I mean, communication is a core differentiator. I mean, that's very difficult to replace. And so, some companies are getting better at it. They're getting better at closing their sales online. I referenced Geico, but I think they're closing 60-70% of their business online now. So they're getting better at it, but it still doesn't replace the human aspect. And so if you call one of those call centers and speak to somebody versus somebody that's highly trained, and
huge
really what
difference.
they're doing, it's a completely different experience. There's still a massive need for quality and a high level communication.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think the other question I got this week, and we've touched on this one before, guys, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Justin, if you can give us like a quick answer to, I've been an agent with State Farm, I've been an agent with Goosehead, and I'm really good at getting like mortgage referrals. So like, why the internet leads? And this was not an agent, it's actually someone who's working in the call center. They took a sales position in the call center. So
we had somebody from I think Goosehead join us, right? That was an agent.
Mm-hmm.
We want to come and do training and help us.
Yeah. He'll be in a training position. And so it was a legit question, like, hey, that's my secret sauce. I'm good at working with dealerships, getting relationships, going to the chamber events, getting mortgage leads. So why the focus on internet leads? We're going to be hopping on the phone soon as a class, learning the beginning conversation of that call. And so what are your thoughts on that?
I think that agency should have both, but I do think that the consistency that you can achieve on leads and online marketing can be even higher consistency than you can achieve typically through mortgage relationships and that kind of stuff. And so I love mortgage relationships. I love referrals. But I also realize the fact that somebody can come in and get that person that big mortgage shop to have their own insurance agency. We have places in Texas that have their own mortgage shops and insurance shops next door to each other. So those relationships can go away, and if you're counting on a massive portion of your business and employees that have to feed their families and that kind of stuff, if you're counting on building out a mechanism that can continue to bring revenue through that side, I think that the human element is a little more risky versus on leads, on online marketing, and kind of stuff where you can work the numbers and kind of scale those numbers a little more effectively. There's something pretty impactful about being able to use internet leads to grow your business. And we do calls, we do a large variety of stuff. We diversify kind of what we're doing. I still love mortgage relationships. I still love referrals. That's incredible stuff, and we should all be trying to get that. But I think that if you're looking for a lever to pull where you can say, hey, I'm going to go to selling $1 million a month in new business, it can be very difficult to pull that off with just mortgage relationships and so on. So I know some people do. I also know a whole lot of people that don't. There's large organizations out there where their bread and butter is mortgage, and their average agency might sell $40,000 in the entire agency, so or less. And I think it's frustrating at times. It can be hard to scale, and so I don't think it's an either or. I think it's an and. Use all the resources at your disposal, and don't turn your nose up at any of them. Look at the ROI. Look at what you can accomplish with them. And if you can make internet leads work, and if you can make mortgage referrals work, and you can do all these things kind of in harmony, then I think that you're better off than being a one-trick pony that has like just one area that you're focused in. And then you're open to the risk of having kind of one channel that you're heavily invested in.
And I think what can be hard is there's so much unknown to generating referral relationships that when you spend too much time outside of the office, that it's hard to replace that time and replace that like sales volume that what you would have had in your pipeline. So what I kind of love is this approach of generating your referral relationships off of the internet lead conversations that you're having in the office that are already coming through. So if you're on the phone with a client that has that new car, well, what dealership are they at? How did they find out about Quantum? And then calling to introduce yourself to the car salesperson that was just working with them. Or they just bought the new home and you're working with the mortgage loan processor to get all their documents, and then calling afterwards and following up and introducing yourself to that person, just so that it's a little bit more strategic. There's already a mutual client involved. It's going to take less of your time outside of the office so that you can have a consistent workflow and a little bit of predictability there while still pursuing business that just makes sense because it's good business. So that's an approach that I think has a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
So good stuff. What else? Anything else top of mind for you right now? I think we covered a lot.
We did cover a lot. I think some good stuff. So
yeah. Well, it's fun chatting with you guys. I'm always loving it when we talk sales and training and all of that good stuff. Let me know what hot topics in the insurance world you're thinking about, what you want to hear about on the Age of Independence. We have some pretty cool episodes coming up. So just to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, we're going to be hearing from an agent soon who was captive and transitioned to the independent world and is doing really awesome in their startup. So want to pick their brain about how things are with their team and what that's been like for them. And we also have a cool episode coming up. If you're into AI and machine learning at all, we're going to hear from a company that we use that tags the behaviors in the sales call so that we can diagnose and see what's going on and coach. And so I think that one's going to be really neat. So stay tuned. Lots of great content coming up for you guys over the summer. And if you haven't had a chance yet, click subscribe to the podcast. That would be awesome, just so you can get notifications every Monday when the new content comes out. And thanks for hanging with us tonight. Our late night chat, catching up. I'm glad you're back from
good to be back.
The airplane in time for a podcast episode. And we're going to go chill. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks so much.